Hello, my name is Renee, and I would like to talk to you for just a few minutes about andragogy. Andragogy is a teaching philosophy that's discussed in The Adult Learner, written by Knowles, Holton, and Swanson. And I plan to incorporate this teaching into my professional development video that I'm creating currently for my students on how to use the CPT book. So what is andragogy and how am I going to incorporate it into my video? Well, Knowles describes andragogy as focusing on the adult learner and how we teach that adult learner and that they learn or to facilitate their learning. In other words, it's sort of a self-guided learning for that adult in that they teach themselves, sort of. The andragogical model actually has 6 assumptions or steps to it that is explained in the book, and I think that will help. So let me explain them. So for the first of the assumptions, there is the need to know. Why does the student need to know this information, and what skills are they going to learn? Why is it important to them? And in my video, I plan to explain why they need to know, how to code appropriately, that it's a skill that many physicians are looking for in their practices, that is not something that you can just be assigned by anyone. It's something where they need to be compliant with healthcare regulations. The second assumption actually is the learner's self-concept. Here many of the adults already know where they've come from, what they've been through, how they've grown up, what they've learned through their entire life. They have an assumption of, or they have a feeling of what it's like to be taught through their primary education. So when they come across to you and they are actually sitting in a class that's formal classroom, a training or anything like that, they tend to have this, okay, I'm going to sit back and you tell me what I need to do. But that sort of type of learning, we actually as instructors have an opportunity to be able to change that for these adult learners. Instead of it being something where they come to a class or they're in a class where they feel that way, we actually have an opportunity to be able to change it and give it back to them and let them be self-guided within their own classroom. We have an opportunity to open it up and let them look up, things in my course would be let them look up a code, encourage them, show them how to do it, but then encourage them to just go do it themselves so that they can actually see that they can do it and they build their own self-confidence, they can see why they want to then learn it and continue on. The third role for the learner is the role of the learner's experiences. And in this concept, the adult students come with some sort of experience depending on the type of class, whether it's a prerequisite, whether it's depending upon the class, I should say. Let's say you start and you're coming to me halfway through the program. There are classes that I know you've taken in order to get to this place. So one way I can bring that up in my video is actually to reference those types of things, like you've taken medical terminology, you've taken anatomy and physiology, so when we go to look up these codes that are in the book, then you're going to be able to, what body system the femur bone is in. You know where to look you'll know where to look in the book. That way it will help them navigate through those sections and find the appropriate code that they need. The fourth is the readiness to learn. In this stage, the adult's readiness to learn comes when there is a need in their life, when it becomes something that helps them in their real life, emphasizing the importance of foundation and knowledge. As you do, and as you do, they become more and more interested in what is being taught. Is how I plan to incorporate that. The fifth assumption is the orientation to learning, and here the adult learner is more motivated and by what they can now do. So how and what they can do with the information they've previously learned, how they're pulling it all together. They're motivated by the skills that they have achieved in the class or in a course. Knowles writes that applying the learned information to real life is really key, and that's what I plan to be doing in my course. So I use myself for example. I have quite a few examples, so we go through quite a few of them, but I also have examples that of real life experiences or things that I've read and coded myself throughout my entire life. The sixth assumption is actually motivation. And one way that I know is key to motivating any adult is to show them how they can use the knowledge that they've gained to either get a better job, increase their status, get a promotion. And some people it's just their own self-esteem. I plan to actually encourage them as we're going through the video that they can do this. They can also actually go out and do some digging themselves and look up how these jobs can benefit them and what the pay level is for them and how they can do them. So that this is a job that's in high demand. I want them to be able to see that this is something that a computer can't just take over, but it's also not something that just anyone can do. It does take a skill, and it's actually one that they're going to learn. So I want them to take pride in that. Whenever they leave my course or my video, they'll have some idea of how important that is. That's it for the 6 assumptions. I tried something a little different this time using a teleprompter. You can probably tell, but that's it. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.